Okay, let's dive right into this. We have all been there, right? A huge deadline is coming up, you know exactly what you need to do, but for some reason you find yourself doing, well, anything and everything else. Today, we're going to unpack the real science behind why we procrastinate, and I'm telling you, it's probably not what you think.
It's such a universal feeling, isn't it? You know, that internal fight where you're just staring at a task, but your hand just somehow automatically reaches for your phone to start scrolling. Why does our brain seem to sabotage our own best intentions? Well, let's get to the bottom of that.
So, first things first, we've got to completely reframe this whole conversation. For years, we've been told that procrastination is just a sign of laziness or, bad time management. But the science? The science tells a completely different story, and frankly, a much more empowering one.
This right here, this comparison gets straight to the heart of it. The myth, the story we tell ourselves, is that procrastinating is a personal failure, some kind of character flaw. But what science shows us is that it's simply a predictable brain response. It has nothing to do with being lazy. It's all about your brain trying to shield you from negative feelings like stress, anxiety, or even just plain old boredom.
Yeah, this idea of an emotional escape is absolutely key. So how does that actually work inside our heads? Let's break down the process. Our brains, it turns out, are hardwired to look for comfort right now, even if it comes at the expense of our future selves. Okay, so let's get a really clear definition on the table. According to the research, procrastination is this very specific habit of putting things off, even when you're fully aware that it's going to make things worse down the line. That awareness part is crucial. We know it's a bad idea, but we just do it anyway.
And this captures the core conflict perfectly. Inside your brain, there's this constant tug of war happening. On one side, you've got your long-term goals, that report you have to finish, the project you really want to complete. And on the other side, you have your brain's powerful, almost primal desire for immediate relief from any negative feeling tied to that task.
And this creates what feels like a vicious cycle. Let's just walk through it real quick. It all starts with step 1. A task feels stressful or difficult. That feeling triggers step 2. Your brain immediately goes, nope, I want to avoid that. So it jumps to step 3, choosing a quick comfort activity, like scrolling on your phone. And the result, step 4, the important task gets delayed and the whole habit gets reinforced, making it even more likely to happen next time.
Now, you know how some days this cycle feels way harder to break than others? Well, it turns out there are specific things, specific factors, that can actually weaken our brain's ability to resist that urge for immediate comfort. Let's take a look at what they are.
So let me introduce you to the hero of our story, the prefrontal cortex. Think of this as the part of your brain that's responsible for all the grown-up stuff, like planning, self-control, and regulating your emotions. It's that little voice of reason that says, hey, maybe we should work on that report instead of watching another hour of cat videos.
But here's the catch. The prefrontal cortex can get tired. It's not invincible. When you're under a ton of stress, or you haven't slept enough, or you're just constantly being bombarded with notifications and distractions, its ability to function goes way down. And when it's weakened, your brain is far more likely to just default to the easy, emotionally driven choice, which, you guessed it, is procrastination.
Okay, so we get the problem. It's a brain thing. The really good news is that the science doesn't just explain the why. It also gives us a super clear roadmap for the how. So let's pivot to the actionable, science-backed strategies you can literally start using today.
You know, the solutions are actually refreshingly simple. Feeling overwhelmed by a huge project? You manage that by breaking the task into the smallest possible steps. Drowning in distractions? You reduce that temptation by changing your environment. It's all about making the path to getting things done as clear and as easy as possible, giving your brain a simple target to aim for.
At the end of the day, managing procrastination isn't just about little tricks and tactics. It's really about fundamentally changing your relationship with your work, and maybe even more importantly, with yourself.
And this right here is probably the most important takeaway of all. Just understanding, truly getting, that procrastination is a natural brain response and not some kind of moral failing can be incredibly powerful. It lets you stop that guilt spiral and start approaching the problem with curiosity and strategy, instead of beating yourself up.
There's a key insight from the source material that just says it all perfectly. It is not a personal weakness, but a natural brain response that can be managed. This isn't about trying to fix a flaw in your character. It's about learning to work with your brain's natural tendencies. And that all starts with a little bit of self-compassion.
So as we wrap up, I want to leave you with one final thought and a challenge.
Instead of thinking about that giant, overwhelming project, what is one tiny, ridiculously small action you could take on it right now in like the next 5 minutes?